Good day, everyone. Today, we will explore the historical background of Philippine literature. But before anything else, let me introduce myself. I am Cherry Faith Rellon from Group 6, and I will be discussing the pre-colonial period with you. The historical background of Philippine literature consists of 6 periods. This period is characterized by oral traditions, including epics, myths, legends, folktales, songs, dances, riddles, and proverbs. The first form of pre-colonial literature is the proverbs, or in Tagalog, salawikain. Proverbs is a short, insightful sayings that encapsulate wisdom and practical advice on various aspects of life, such as family, relationships, work, and ethics. They often use metaphors and similes to convey their message effectively. Riddles are puzzles that challenge the listener's wit and knowledge. They often involve wordplay, metaphors, and imagery, making them both entertaining and educational. Folk songs are the melodies that reflect the everyday life, emotions, and aspirations of the people. They encompass a wide range of themes, from love and courtship to work and social commentary. Tales or kwentong bayan are the myths, legends, and folktales that explain natural phenomena, historical events, and cultural beliefs. They often feature supernatural beings, heroes, and heroines, and serve to teach moral lessons and pass down cultural values. Epics or epico are long narrative poems that celebrate the deeds of legendary heroes and heroines. They often recount the origins of a tribe or nation and reflect the values and beliefs of the people. Pre-colonial Philippine literature was deeply rooted in the everyday experiences and cultural beliefs of the people. The pre-colonial Filipinos also had their own writing system known as baybayin. This syllabic script, similar to those found in other Southeast Asian countries, was used for writing on various materials, including bamboo, bark, and metal. Although much of pre-colonial Philippine literature was lost due to the destruction of written records and the suppression of oral traditions, the legacy of storytelling continues to influence Filipino culture today. The themes, characters, and values found in these ancient stories remain relevant.
So before I start my discussion, I would like to introduce myself first. I am Cris Navarro, and I am going to discuss about the Spanish colonization period in 1565 to 1863. So these are the keywords of the Spanish colonization period. First, religious literature. Second, secular drama. Third, poetry. And fourth, the propaganda movement. The Spanish colonization period in the Philippines was a time of cultural fusion, where Spanish colonial influence blended with indigenous traditions. This era saw the rise of religious and secular literature with Catholic-inspired dramas. The result was a unique and enduring blend and literacy expressions. The first example is the religious literature. The Spanish colonizers introduced the Catholicism, leading to creation of religious dramas such as Moriones, Santa Cruzan, Panunuluyan, and Sinaculo. These performances became a vital part of Filipino culture, reflecting the deep influence of Catholic faith on the Filipino psyche. Next is the secular drama. Alongside religious plays, secular drama like Comedia, Doplo, and Karagatan emerged. These plays combined a local tradition with Spanish theatrical forms, providing entertainment while subtly addressing societal issues. And for example, Comedia. infused with romantic and heroic themes. Next is the poetry. Various poetic forms flourished during this period, including the tanaga, a traditional four-line poem, Ladino, love poems often written in a mix of Spanish and local languages. These included traditional Filipino forms as well as those that blended Spanish and local languages. And lastly, the propaganda movement. As Filipino nationalism grew, writers like Jose Rizal, Marcelo H. del Pilar, and Graciano Lopez Haina used literature to push for social reform and independence from Spanish rule. Their works became powerful tools for inspiring resistance against colonial oppression. For example, the novel of Jose Rizal, No Limitang Here.
Good morning, everyone. So today, we will tackle about a nation's awakens, Philippine literature and the propaganda and revolutionary period, 1864 to 1896. The period between 1864 and 1896 witnessed a pivotal shift in Philippine literature, marked by the rise of nationalism and the struggle for independence from Spanish rule. This era, often referred to as the nationalistic propaganda and revolutionary period, saw Filipino writers use their craft as a powerful tool for social commentary, political awakening, and articulation of a burgeoning national identity. Seeds of nationalism. The propaganda movement. The propaganda movement, a reformist movement that emerged in the late 19th century, played a crucial role in shaping the literary landscape of this period. Filipino intellectuals and writers, disillusioned with the injustice of Spanish colonial rule, sought to expose the abuse of the Spanish government and advocate for reforms through our writings. The movement's key figures such as Jose Rizal, Marcelo H. del Pilar, and Graciano Lopez Haina utilized various literary forms to spread their message of reform. Political essays became a powerful tool for exposing the evils of Spanish rule, with publications like Diaryong Tagalog and La Solidaridad serving as platforms for disseminating reformist ideas. Political novels is also played a significant role in propaganda movements. So, one of the example of political novels is No Limitang Here and El Filibusterismo. Nagisulat ni Dr. Jose Rizal nga ang atong national hero diri sa Pilipinas. And we all know that Dr. Jose Rizal fought the Spanish government through his writings. The Call to Arms, Revolutionary Literature. As the propaganda movement, reformist efforts failed to yield desired result, the call for revolution grew louder. The revolutionary period 1896 and 1898 saw the emergence of revolutionary literature which directly fueled the fight for independence. Andres Bonifacio and Emilio Jacinto. Andres Bonifacio is the one who founded the Revolutionary Army, and he is the father of Katipunan, which is KKK, kataas-taasang kagalang-galang anak ng bayan. And Emilio Jacinto was the brain of the Katipunan. Political essays became more militant, with publications like Kalayaan serving as a mouthpiece for the revolutionary movement. Poetry also played a vital role in the revolutionary struggle. Bonifacio's Katapusang Hibik ng Pilipinas and Jacinto's Liwanag at Dilim became powerful calls to action inspiring Filipinos to rise up against Spanish oppression. The legacy of the propaganda and revolutionary period. The nationalistic propaganda and revolutionary period, 1864 to 1896, marked a turning point in Philippine literature. It established a strong foundation for the development of a national literary tradition, one that reflected the Filipino people's aspiration for freedom, self-determination, and national identity. The writers of this era, through their powerful and advocative works, not only exposed the injustice of Spanish rule, but also ignited the flames of revolution, paving the way for the Philippine Revolution of 1896. Their legacy continues to inspire generations of Filipino writers and readers, reminding them of the power of literature to shape national consciousness, foster social change, and preserve cultural heritage.
The American occupation, particularly in countries like the Philippines, significantly influenced the culture, education, and literary landscape. English was introduced as the medium of instruction in schools, replacing local languages in many formal settings. Social issues like inequality, political corruption, and the struggle for independence became central to their work, reflecting the changes brought about by the American influence and the tensions of a rapidly modernizing society.
Good day everyone, I am Edlyn Quindala from Rhea Mae A. So let's talk about Japanese period during 1941 to 1945. So the historical background of Japanese period between 1941 to 1945, Philippine literature was interrupted in its development when the Philippines was again conquered by another foreign country, Japan. Philippine literature in English came to a halt, except for the Tribune and the Philippine Review. Almost all newspapers in English were stopped by these Japanese. Letter A. Filipino poetry during this period. The common theme of most poems during the Japanese occupation was nationalism, country, love, and life in the various faith, religion, and the arts. So, there are three types of poems emerged during this period. There were, number 1, haiku. This form, popularized by Japanese, consists of 17 syllables divided into 3 lines. Example 575. Number 2, tanaga. Similar to haiku, tanaga is a short poetic form with a specific structure and rhyme scheme. Each line has 7 syllables and the poem is allegorical in meaning. Number 3, karaniwang anyo. In English, usual forms. This refers to the traditional forms of Filipino poetry such as the soneto and awit, which continued to be written during this period. So, letter B, Filipino drama. American film closure led to a decline in drama. Stage show became popular with translation of English plays into Tagalog. They also founded the Dramatic Philippines, an organization of Filipino actors. Some prominent playwrights of this period include number 1, Jose Maria Hernandez, known for his play Panday Tira. Number 2, Francisco Soc Rodrigo, author sa Pula sa Puti. Number 3, Clodoaldo del Mundo, known for his play Bulaga. Number 4 is Julian Cruz Balmaceda, author of plays such as Sino Ba Kayo, Dahil sa Anak, ang Higanti ng Patay. Letter C, the Filipino short story during Japanese period. The field of the short story widened during the Japanese occupation. Many wrote short stories. Among them were Brigido Batumbakal, Macario Pineda, Serafin Ginigindo, Diwayway Arcillo, Narciso Ramos, and V.M. Gonzalez, Alicia Lopez Lim, Ligaya Perez, and Gloria Guzman. In 1945, a group of judges including Francisco E. Casiano, Jose Esperanza, Antonio Rosales, Clodoaldo Del Mundo, and Teodoro Santos selected of the period. The top three winners were: first prize, Narciso Reyes with his Lupang Tinubuan. Second prize, Liwayway Arcios, Uhaw ang Tigang na Lupa. Third prize, V.M. Gonzalez, Lungsod Nayon at Dagat-Dagatan. Letter D. Philippine Literature and English 1941 to 1945. Because of the strict prohibition imposed by the Japanese in the writing and publishing of works in English, Philippine literature in English experienced a dark period. The few who dared to write did so for their bread and butter or for propaganda. The next one, the Commonwealth Literary Awards give prizes to meritorious writers. Those who won were: number 1, Like the Molave by Rafael Zulueta da Costa, poetry. Number 2, How My Brother Leon Brought Home a Wife by Manuel A. Argelia, short story. Number 3, Literature and Society by Salvador P. Lopez, essay. Number 4, His Native Soil by Juan Laya, novel. So the last one is President Manuel L. Quezon's autobiography, The Good Fight, was published posthumously. Radio broadcast echoed the mingled fear and doubts in the heart of the people. Other writers of this period were Juan Collias, 1944, and Tomas Confessor, 1945.
The last period of Philippine literature is the post-war period. But before we talk about the Philippine literature, let us know first what is post-war period. The Philippine history during post-war period spans from 1945 until 1970. This era is also known as the recovering era, as the Philippines was in the process of recovering and gaining independence from both Japanese and American occupation. During this time, the country was heavily influenced by the cultural and literary teaching of these colonizers, particularly the Americans, who played a significant role in shaping Filipino literature. In relation to the Philippine literature, the post-war period marked a transition where Filipinos who had been taught by many colonizers, specifically the Japanese and American, began to develop their own distinct voice. Filipinos at this time learned how to express themselves more confidently. Writers during the post-war years were inspired by American school and college teachers and were able to borrow their techniques and achieving greater mastery in the English language. Additionally, Filipinos began teaching Philippine literature as a subject at college level and productive time for Philippine authors. Thus, the Americans and Japanese in particular made significant contributions to the field of literature, introducing new forms, genres, and techniques that Filipino writers adopted. There are many notable characteristics of Philippine literature during this period. One of these is Romanticism. Romanticism is a literary works that originated from Europe toward the end of 18th century, known as Romantic era, emphasizing inspiration, subjectivity, and primacy of individual, emotion, and glorification of the past and nature. Romanticism became a dominant theme in Filipino literature as writers expressed their hopes, struggles, and the complexities of identity in a post-colonial society. Next is nationalism. Nationalism is an ideology where individuals define themselves based on their nationality, emphasizing the importance of national identity, pride, and independence. In literature, this was expressed through works that highlight Filipino culture, struggles for independence, and the collective national identity. For example, many writers use their works to reflect the Filipino spirit and resistance against colonization, aiming to instill pride and unity among Filipinos. And lastly, is the expression of feelings, is another significant aspect of post-war Philippine literature. During this period, writers had the opportunity to present their culture, values, and ideas in a way that was non-confrontational but deeply expressive. These allow them to explore complex emotions and themes related to identity, freedom, and societal change, helping readers connect with their heritage and the collective Filipino experience. Throughout these years, there are some famous Filipino writers in the post-war period. One of these is Macario Pineda from 1912 to 1950. Macario was a prominent writer who made significant contributions to post-war Philippine literature. He is the best known for his work Ginto ng Makiling, published in 1946, which holds the distinction of being the first Philippine literary work published after World War II. His writings, including Love in the Rice Fields and other short stories, often explored themes of Filipino culture, rural life, and the struggles of the common people. The next one is Esteban Javellana from 1918 to 1977. Esteban is also known as Esteban Javellana, was a Filipino novelist and short story writer who wrote in English. His most notable work, Without Seeing the Dawn, is a powerful narrative based on his experiences during World War II. The novel provides a vivid portrayal of the horrors of war and its impact on Filipino society, capturing the resilience and determination of the Filipino people. And lastly is Nestor Vicente Madali Gonzalez from 1915 to 1999. He was highly esteemed Filipino novelist, short story writer, essayist, and poet. He was honored as the National Artist of the Philippines for Literature in 1997. His work as Season of Grace is one of his most significant contributions, showcasing his mastery in portraying the lives of ordinary Filipinos and their connection to the land. His writings often reflect themes of survival, community, and the complexities of Filipino life during after the war. These writers plays a crucial role in shaping post-war Philippine literature, using their works to express the Filipino identity, culture, and experience during a period of recovery and transformation. Their contributions continue to be celebrated and studied as key elements of the nation's literary heritage. Overall, from the rich oral traditions of the pre-colonial period to the influences of Spanish and American colonization and the patriotic fervor of the nationalistic, propaganda, and revolutionary period, Filipino literature has continually adapted and thrived. The Japanese occupation brought about a period of hardship and resistance, followed by the post-war period where the Philippines began to forge a distinct literary identity, incorporating both traditional and modern elements. Each period has contributed to shaping a vibrant and diverse literary heritage that continues to evolve and reflect the Filipino experience. Once again, we are the Group 6. Thank you and God bless.